I wonder if we could start with the aid bill that's finally got through Congress. 95 billion altogether, 61 billion to Ukraine, but also a significant amount of money going to Israel. How important is the money to Israel going to be for the action that's going on there? And what's going to happen now in Rafah?
Well, those are the big questions here. First of all, just on the amount of money going to Israel, pretty much Israel's in the position where it cannot continue its war without exceptional large scale funding from the United States. They have to have ammunition, the bombs that they're dropping, the missiles that they're firing, the interceptor missiles for their Iron Dome and the other air defense systems, and then just regular rounds of ammunition because they're expending so much in there. It's absolutely vital and essential for the continued operation. But that issue about Rafah is a big point of contention because there is a significant growing anti-Israeli government movement in the war that's developing in both the United States generally, especially on the college campuses, but also in Congress. And so there's lots of pressure on the Biden administration to put some strings on this money here, especially as it relates to Rafah, because there is the potential for a spike in civilian casualties, which of course has been off the charts so far. And that's what's driven a lot of this, anti-Israeli movement in the United States. And that's a big issue for the Biden administration. I mean, you have the morality issue, which I hope would be front and center, but they also have the political issue involved because many of the Democratic voters are outsized in their opposition to what the Israeli government is doing in the Palestinian areas of Gaza. And that's something that is going to almost certainly put a lot of pressure on the administration into what comes next.
And that's a really interesting point because the opposition in the House of Representatives was from the more right-wing Republicans, but when it went to the Senate, one of the people who voted against was Bernie Sanders, a very important, influential figure on the left of the Democrat Party. So you're suggesting that for Biden that could be a problem because it splits his own party.
It does. In fact, in a speech just yesterday, Bernie Sanders went on the floor and read a number of polls out that showed that, generally where Americans were and how a strong majority in many of the polls were against continued military support to Israel. But then he broke it down by party and showed that the Democratic voters were even stronger opposed to that continued aid. And if the administration continues on down that path of giving blanket support and no strings attached, and there are then more casualties, that support could erode even bigger when it comes time for the general election in November. And I assure you, the administration will be keeping a close eye on that factor.
And are there strings attached to the money so far? Because Israel seems set to go ahead with the Rafah initiative. It may have to move as many as 1 million Palestinians as it goes ahead. And from what you're saying, without the American money, without the American funding, it wouldn't be able to do that. It wouldn't have the ammunition. And this is becoming a political issue in the US. So are the strings being attached, or does Israel still have pretty much carte blanche?
So far, there has been a lot of words, but no strings. And the other reality in U.S. politics is that there are a lot of pro-Israeli supporters who are very generous with their campaign contributions, and no politician wants to lose those. And I'm very confident that behind the scenes, that a lot of those conversations are taking place that says we need your undying support here, or the money's going to dry up. And nobody wants that in a campaign season here. But there's just this balancing act because a lot of the people don't care about any of that. All they care about is the images they see on TV of large numbers of Palestinians dying. And if that continues on, especially into Rafah, they're not going to care about how many campaign contributions they have. If they don't like the policies, they're not going to vote for that candidate. And that's a big problem for the Democratic Party. So far, there hasn't been any strings, but I really think everything depends on what Israel actually does in this Rafah operation. The fact that they've delayed it this long indicates that there's a lot of diplomacy going on behind the scenes, a lot of pressure so far by the administration, but no evident strings so far. That remains to be seen if that continues.